Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I'm going to recap my second and third trimester of pregnancy. I'm doing them together because they really were very much the same throughout. Things that started in the second trimester typically continued out throughout the rest of my pregnancy. However, these two were wildly different from my first trimester, which is a really good thing because otherwise there's no way I would have survived the rest. I will go over my weight, where I started in the beginning and ended the trimester. I'll go over all of my symptoms in order that I did have them. Again, most of them just kind of carried out throughout the rest. There are a couple things that I don't really remember when they started, so I'll go over that as well. And then I'll go over any products that I did like or that made my life a little bit easier during that time frame as well. There's not as many of those as in my first trimester recap because there was either nothing I could do or there's nothing I could take because I was pregnant. Full disclosure, I'm keeping it 100% real. Some things will be TMI, some things are going to be gross. Pregnancy is not beautiful all the time. It may look that way, but it certainly is not when you're living the life. So I'm going to apologize in advance because it is what it is. So as far as my weight goes, and if I am looking down, I had to go through my baby journal to figure out when all of these things happened. So I am looking at my list. Go figure, I made a list. So anyways, my beginning weight in my second trimester was 123.4 pounds, and then I finished at 140.6. If you watch my first trimester recap, I did lose about 15 pounds my first trimester, just from how ill I was and my body adjusting to losing hormones, gaining hormones, all of the above. So I did eat really, really well during my pregnancy for the most part. Obviously, I had my moments where I wanted a fish fry, cheesecake, ice cream, whatever the case was. But I was it wasn't like a vanity thing. It was more so I wanted a healthy baby and I'm deathly afraid of having a C-section. I don't heal well from surgeries, so it really was me trying to avoid a C-section at all costs. My family typically has pretty big babies, so I also was trying to control that, diabetes, multiple reasons. We'll start with this. This has nothing to do with pregnancy. I'm sure no one else will have this come into their pregnancy at any point, but I was lucky enough to start off my second trimester with shingles. Very difficult because there's not anything that I could have taken for the pain. It was just something I had to live with for about a month. It was horrendous. Again, it has nothing to do with pregnancy, but that was what I started with. The first thing that was starting to change a lot was it was getting really difficult for me to be comfortable sleeping. My hips would become numb when I would sleep. I'm typically a side sleeper. I do sleep on my stomach too, but obviously being pregnant, we weren't doing that anymore. So if I laid on my left side for too long, my hip would fall asleep, so I'd have to move over. So I did put a pillow in between my knees to sleep, which felt okay, but I flip a lot during the night from one side to the other. So when I would go from right to left or vice versa, the pillow would get stuck on my blanket. Then when I move, I'd have to pull the blanket over, and by the time I was comfortable again, I'm now wide awake because I just had to do all the shuffling. So I gave in and purchased this pregnancy pillow that I had seen on a couple other girls' YouTube channels, and I didn't want to because it was only like $55, which whatever. I didn't want to spend the money on another pillow. I have all these pillows from my prior surgeries that I never use now. They were just cheap ones I got at Target just to prop myself up. And I thought that would be sufficient, and they weren't. So I did bite the bullet and buy this. It is worth every penny. It is like a U shape. There's a zipper that goes halfway through, and it goes all the way around so that you can take it off and wash it. And it's just this big U. So it seems really simple. I mean, it is really simple, but I tell you, I don't know how I ever slept without this thing. Eric hates it because it puts a barricade in between us and we can't cuddle. So to cuddle, I have to pop myself out of it, which is fine, but he hates it. I sleep so well in it that I honestly don't know that I'll ever not be able to sleep with it. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm telling you, just buy it. It makes your life so much easier. I love that the outer shell pops off. It's super, super soft as well. But I'm really, really glad that it does come off so I can wash it. because my bulldog, Mr. Beefy, who's actually sitting right next to me on this bench, because that's what he does, he likes to, if I would get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, he literally like puts himself in it like a hot dog in a hot dog bun. So I have to wash it at least once a week. So that I really, really like. I'll probably sleep with it as long as I can get away with it, because I slept so much better in it. My appetite did start to pick up again in the beginning of my second trimester. I wasn't eating a ton. I got full really quick. That got worse as my organs like shifted more with the baby getting bigger. I never craved anything outlandish like pickles and ice cream. Eric never had to drive somewhere 2 o'clock in the morning to get me something to eat, which I was kind of, not that part, but like I really wanted like some extreme cravings, but I was super boring. Like none of that ever happened. Nighttime, I also started waking up 3 to 5 times in the middle of the night to pee. Just obnoxious. I always was able to fall back asleep after, thank goodness, but if I did wake up and have any water to drink, I would not be able to fall back asleep. Like literally, I was just up then, which is weird because before I was pregnant, I just about every single night, in the middle of the night, I'd chug a bottle of water and then I'd fall right back asleep. I'm just very thirsty. But for whatever reason, like I literally have to have a conversation with myself, like, okay, am I really thirsty enough to like risk not being able to fall back asleep, or can I just go back to bed? It was kind of annoying. This lasted about 2 months. I would wake up feeling hungover every morning, and not like puking super ill hungover, like we went out and I had 1 glass of wine too much the night before. And let's be clear, I was not drinking at all during my pregnancy. It's just what I felt like. That's the only way I can explain it. Like I was groggy, just like in a haze. I was tired. Like by the time I would get up, I'd have a cup of coffee, eat my English muffin with either avocado or peanut butter on it. I'd feel better in about an hour, but it is the worst having to get up that way every single day and then go to work, because I'm also working full time, 8, 9, 10, 12-hour days. So to wake up like that and have to work a 12-hour day, it's the pits. I asked my doctor about it. She said that's not a normal complaint. So she said to try to eat like an apple and peanut butter, or something that was a little bit thicker, that would like stick to me a little bit better before I went to bed. That didn't work. So we just kind of dealt with that. I was also horribly gassy. I don't mean, it was bad. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I would offend myself. Like, I would have to walk around, and it was never guaranteed to be like silent or not smell. Like, you just didn't know. So I would find myself doing, like, Beefy's coming up here now. I would find myself like making an excuse of why I'm having to go all the way to the other end of the house at 10 o'clock at night, because I'm trying to hide from Eric that like I'm gassy, because I don't do that in front of him, like, ever. We've been together 11 years. He's never heard me even burp. So it's just gross. And I was never, I know like some other people that I've talked to, like this was their issue, is that they couldn't help when those things would happen. So it'd just be like talking to someone and they'd accidentally fart. Like that, thank goodness it's never happened to me. But I was pretty offensive. It was just awful. And I'm sure it's because my organs are squished all over the place. No food made it better or worse. There was no rhyme or reason behind it. It was just disgusting. Leg cramps. Only on my left side. I couldn't stretch in the morning because if I tried to stretch, my leg would seize. It was the worst Charlie horses like I've ever had in my life, to the point where I would throw myself out of bed, which is very difficult to do when you have a big old pregnant belly. Eric would wake up in a panic because he doesn't know what the hell I'm doing. He's thinking something's wrong with me, not that it's just another leg cramp. I'd have to like walk laps around my house to try to like stretch my calf a certain way. It was ridiculous. I had a lot of panic dreams. They weren't nightmares. I had one nightmare that I cried for 3 days about. It was about Eric, myself, and the baby. Awful. The panic dreams were more like I would be at work and something wouldn't be done right, or paperwork wasn't ready, or we would have the baby super early and we didn't have a car seat, so we couldn't bring him home, and like just weird stuff like that. It was so bizarre. I would crave a lot of lemon, which didn't, as much as I crave lemon, I couldn't drink it all the time because I would also get wicked heartburn. I did wind up using, instead of buying fresh lemons, I'd buy like 6 a week because I would like literally drink that much lemon. I would drink probably, I would put about a half of a lemon in one, like I'd squeeze it in 1 can of like plain seltzer water. So it was an insane amount of lemon I was consuming at once. Like most people couldn't even tolerate drinking it, and it was totally fine to me. However, I also had crazy, crazy heartburn from it. I couldn't drink water, like seltzer water or lemon at all. But I did start using these True Lemon packets, which I got on Amazon, instead of buying like so many fresh lemons. They're little packets, and literally all they are crystallized lemons. So I left those everywhere, in my purse, my house, my office. Like I always had them with me because I just like it that much. Round ligament pain. I called the doctor. I kind of figured what it was. It was just like a pulling in my groin, like the bottom of my belly, by my groin. And I kind of figured that's what it was, but in everything that I read, it said that it typically only lasts a few minutes, and mine would last like 30 minutes to an hour. It didn't happen often, probably only a handful of times, but I went in, he assured me that's all it was, and that was really it. So it wasn't happening all the time. My sciatic nerve though was. The baby would move, and it wasn't usually like when I was just hanging out at home. It was always when I was running a lot of errands. Like I'd be walking through a store and my whole right leg would give out. Like it buckled at the knee. It was pretty bad. I obviously knew it was happening. Again, same thing with like the leg cramps. It would startle Eric every time because he didn't know if it was that or if I was just going down for whatever reason. It became really difficult to sit for too long. Like just the pressure on my butt bone, my pelvic bone, it was just ridiculous. So a girl I work with who I adore has a Swiss ball that's on like a chair frame, and it has rolly wheels on it. So I sat on that at work all the time. Like she was so graceful. I didn't even buy my own. She just let me use hers when she wasn't there. And then by the end of my pregnancy, it was just a stationary chair in my office. I will honestly, I never bought one because I didn't think I'd use it after I came back to work after the baby was born. But in all reality, like it was so much more comfortable that I really feel, and I sit at my desk a lot, so I think I might wind up buying one anyways, and I will find one of those on Amazon and link it down below as well. But I want to say it was like, and I could be totally wrong, I want to say it was like $50 too, so it wasn't like anything insane. At the end of my second trimester, I started to have a lot of insomnia and anxiety. And really, I think it was just because I overloaded my schedule. My due date was August 7th. I had a solo art exhibition from June 28th to July 20th. So for the 2 months prior to that, every single moment I was not at work, I was painting or prepping or buying supplies or putting brackets on the back so that I could put like the wire across to have them hung, doing name tags, pricing, like every waking moment, that's what I was doing. And then I had to do the nursery as well, which that I could only do a little bit at a time. It was just too much. So I think a lot of it was self-induced because I just put way too much on my plate, which is insane. But that's what I do. As far as two things that, well, the one thing I think has, maybe it does affect other people, I don't know, with just your changes. I have a couple keloids. One is on this ear piercing up here, and it's just because when I sleep at night, like if I lay on this side, it just gets bothered. But I also have, where my port was, I have a keloid there from when they took it out, and then I also have a keloid in the middle of my bicep from when I had a PICC line put in from when I had MRSA. Those have been keloids for well over a year, 2 years, God, probably even longer than that. But during my pregnancy, they became so swollen and so itchy, just so uncomfortable. I'm actually having my dermatologist like surgically excise them and try to remove them totally altogether because like they bother me that much. So again, I don't know if that's something that's just specific to me or if it's something that like my hormones triggered. I don't know. The other thing that I don't know specifically when this started, but I know from other women that I've watched on YouTube, I guess it is a normal pregnancy symptom or issue from all your blood being focused on one specific region of your body. Because there's more blood flow there, your lady parts become swollen. And not like to a gross degree, but it's noticeable. But again, I don't, like at some point, like you can't see anything down there anyways. So I don't really know when that started. Again, it's TMI, but it's the reality of the situation. It is what it is. So again, don't know when it started, but it was definitely a thing. On the topic of swelling though, I never had swollen legs. I never had swollen ankles, swollen feet. Like, let's be honest, I wasn't rocking pumps or heels at the end of my pregnancy. But my feet like fit into my shoes. I was wearing more sandals at the end, even to work, because it was July and August that I was there. So it was just warm in general, but I never had like where my feet blew up and I had cankles and all of that, which I'm not complaining about. What else? My heartburn was really, really bad in the third trimester. Like there was no seltzer water, there was no lemon at all. Chocolate, coffee, all of that would give me heartburn. If I ate anything spicy, forget it, I would die. Diet Coke though did not give me heartburn, which I try not to drink that, but if we'd go out to eat, then I would have that because I hate the taste of tap water. Pregnancy brain is a real thing. Added on to my already existing chemo brain, it was rough. Like some conversations I'd have with Eric, he would look at me and be like, what? Like, what is happening to you? And I would get so frustrated because I couldn't find a word that I was looking for. I'd use the wrong word, and then like it was funny to people, and it was just like super aggravating. So I would just like stop the conversation because it was like a toddler. Like I didn't even want to talk anymore. It was ridiculous. Other than that, the only other thing, which is a big thing, is my skin changed a lot. I feel like my face has aged a ton. Part of it maybe is I wasn't doing my normal skincare routine. I mean, not only was I dog tired by the end of the night, like I was lucky if I actually took my mascara off before I went to bed. Thank God for makeup removing face wipes because they're a blessing. But like I wasn't using my retinoid creams. I wasn't using my scrubs, my exfoliators, my masks. Like even though most of them I did look up to see if they were safe to use, I just didn't feel like it was necessary to use more on my body than necessary. So I just kind of let it all go. So that changed a lot. I did one, and I do have freckles. This part like of my forehead, I did have like a dark spot, and it was like the whole size of my forehead. You can't see it now because I have makeup on, but and I don't know why that started, but it's there. And I want to say it was definitely at the end of my pregnancy, but also on my belly, like my skin would get bumpy to like, I would want to scratch. I don't know how to explain this to make it not sound weird, but like, you know how sometimes like the back of your arm feels like a little bumpy and like you want to scratch it, or maybe I'm the only person that does that. I don't know, but like that's how my belly was. And then also like up here, like on the top of my chest and like over into my armpit, it was on my radiated skin here and really not that much over here, but my skin changed a lot. It was really weird. I did wind up wearing a lot of lotions. I obviously always put lotions on my belly. I did not get any stretch marks, thank goodness. I was super, super afraid of that because my mom got them horribly. I used a ton of different creams. I know that if you're, like, there's nothing you can do to prevent them. It was more like a feel-good thing of just like rubbing my belly with lotion, but I'm super thankful that that did not happen. Other than that, the only other thing that I really, really, really liked throughout my pregnancy was, as far as clothing went, I was really very fortunate that I did not have to buy a ton of new clothes. I bought maternity leggings, I bought maternity t-shirts like with the ruched sides. That I wore a lot. I have a ton of cardigans and sweaters. I was really able to manipulate a lot of my wardrobe already. I love Spanx leggings. They're my favorite leggings ever. I bought a pair of maternity leggings, like the faux leather ones. I hated them. And I have a regular pair, and they're one of my favorites. My crotch always felt like it was in the middle of my thighs. Like they didn't stay up. They were too like stretchy almost. And I still ordered a small. I was really disappointed in them because they are not cheap. I want to say they were over $100, like $112 or something. So those I was really bummed about, but I did find another brand called BLANQI, BLANQI. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right or not, but they are everything and more. They are more on the expensive side as well. They're about $70 a piece. I got them 50% off though, around Mother's Day and then a different holiday. So I would definitely wait for that if you can. But if not, they were worth every penny of the $70. I wore them all the time. I wound up, after buying the first set, I bought a second set because I was wearing them so often. I got 2 pair of maternity, 2 pair of postpartum leggings, and I got 2 postpartum tank tops as well, one in black and one in white. I will post those below. They are everything. So those, I like literally, if I could wear the postpartum ones even when I'm not pregnant, I 100% would. Like they're that comfortable. They're super buttery in the texture. They wash well, they wear well. They're worth every penny. So other than that, that's really it. Again, I didn't use a ton of products just because a lot of these symptoms, like besides taking Tums for heartburn, that was really it. I just kind of dealt with it. I hope if anyone's pregnant and looking forward to what they may expect, I hope that this helps. Again, a lot of things are not very pleasant. I do feel very fortunate. I did love my pregnancy, especially after the first trimester. I really, really loved being pregnant, even as uncomfortable as I was at times. I loved my belly. I loved feeling him. I loved everything about it. So as uncomfortable as it can be, it's totally just worth it. Not everyone gets to experience this, and I feel very fortunate that I was able to. So I hope that this helped for anyone who is kind of looking for advice or kind of what to expect going forward. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I will have a ton more videos coming out between baby, motherhood. I'm going to start doing ones for painting. I am an artist. My cancer journey, obviously that's going to continue. So please come along on this ride with me. I would love to have you here. Until next time, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.